Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Thursday, September 25th, 2025. I'm Errol Lewis. On the campaign trail today, Andrew Cuomo continued to deny allegations that he is behind attempts to get Curtis Sliwa out of the race. The candidates also appear to be focusing their attention on attacking one another instead of the frontrunner, Zohran Mamdani, which one former candidate for mayor, Jim Walden, warns is a bad strategy. New York One State House reporter Bernadette Hogan joins me now with tonight's top story. Good evening, Bernadette.
Good evening, Errol. And today's topic really did circle around crime, and the candidates did criticize Zohran Mamdani. However, they found areas to jab one another. Andrew Cuomo criticized Mayor Eric Adams, who has been, as he says, supporting the current bail reform law that Cuomo signed into law. And Eric Adams criticized Cuomo for signing Raise the Age into law.
You know why I think you're making it up, Mr. Sliwa? Because you have made it up many times before.
Andrew Cuomo denying allegations lobbed at him by Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa, accusing him of telling several billionaires to offer Sliwa bribes in order to drop his candidacy.
Sliwa says somebody offered him money. Who offered him money? Well, sorry, until you give me a name, I think you're making it up.
Neither Sliwa nor his campaign would reveal who tempted him. Adams, at a separate event, also denied he was offered money to cancel his re-election bid.
No one has not offered me money to leave the race, and we would not accept it if it was offered. That's not how you run politics in the city.
But the mayor complained his candidacy has been stunted by lack of funding after the city campaign finance board denied Adams' requests due to missing information.
Going into the race, I lost $4 million. We're in court right now fighting with the campaign finance board.
Insisting he still has a shot, even though he's trailing in the polls.
No one campaigns like me. No one knows how to put the strategy together.
After a teenager was fatally shot in Cambria Heights, Queens this week, Adams argued public safety is his strong suit and criticized Mamdani's plan.
If he were to become the mayor, it's just going to impact the quality of life of our city.
Adams also appeared to pick a fight with Cuomo, slamming laws like Raise the Age that he signed while governor. Later, Cuomo blamed Adams for backing bail reform, also a law he originally signed.
The mayor said, I am happy with the new bail reform law, right? He endorsed it. He said it.
Meanwhile, former independent mayoral candidate Jim Walden, whose name will still be on the November 4th ballot, endorsed Cuomo.
On the merits, Andrew Cuomo is the best candidate. He's also the only candidate that can beat Mamdani,
issuing a warning that candidates should stop going after one another and instead focus on beating Mamdani.
They have been tearing each other apart. They've been going after each other. It is only every time Zohran Mamdani sees a tweet from one of them that attacks the other person, he and his team are, doing high fives.
And before Walden did drop out, he was trying to get every other candidate that wasn't leading in the polls, besides Mamdani, to drop out and coalesce. Obviously, Errol, that has not been the case, but Walden says that it's just going to perpetuate this maybe, conclusion that Mamdani will be the winner.
Early voting starts in 30 days, so we really are coming down to the wire. Is there some point at which some of these candidates may change their position, do you think?
I mean, if they're looking at the polls, look at Mayor Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa, but Sliwa has a different mindset, right? He's a Republican. He can argue that none of these other Democrats, even if they might be running on the independent line, can appeal to Republican voters. Andrew Cuomo had an interesting conversation with the New York Times where he said, right now he's not trying to get Republican votes, but soon he will be. I'd like to hear that argument, especially considering, again, he signed bail reform into law. He's a Democrat, and Republicans tend to go with the party that they're assigned to.
Meanwhile, Zohran Mamdani, the man that they're talking about, is not standing still, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of activity on his social media feed.
Right. Mamdani continues to post videos. He's been appearing with supporters, ping-ponging all over town. But he's also been able to benefit from what's going on at the national level and perhaps missteps by his opponents, which allows him to not really talk as much about his policy unless he's doing a sit-down with you.
Thanks very much, Bernadette. Over Mayor Adams' objections, the City Council earlier today gave approval to the creation of a supportive housing project in the Bronx for formerly incarcerated individuals. It's a project that the mayor once supported, but has now become the Adams administration's latest fight with the city council. Our Kelly Mena joins us now with the details. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Errol. The mayor might have changed his mind on a housing project in the Bronx, but local lawmakers haven't. Earlier today, they pushed forward with that project amid that fight with the mayor.
This council has approved 93% of housing-related land use applications that have come to us, and we will approve even more today.
Council Speaker Adrian Adams vowed to approve a new housing project in the Bronx, and local lawmakers delivered. Known as the Just Home housing project passed in a vote of 36-9. The project aims to bring 83 new units of supportive housing to the campus of Jacoby Hospital in the Morris Park section of the Bronx for formerly incarcerated individuals. The mayor was initially in favor of the project, but pulled his support last week. On Thursday, he said,
The Bronx has been oversaturated with these alternative sort of housing, you know, people with drug abuse, people with mental health. The Bronx has done their share. That would still be a shelter. It just won't be people leaving Rikers, going right into that community.
Meanwhile, First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro fired off a letter on Wednesday night arguing the council's approval was no longer necessary, citing a lack of mayoral support. But Speaker Adrian Adams pushed back, saying the project was already finalized with health and hospitals. Ahead of the vote, she said,
Their desperate last-ditch attempt came in the form of a ridiculous letter from Mr. Mastro, which carries no weight under the law. It's not only disgraceful, but it shows a complete lack of knowledge of how city government works. The H&H Board of Directors authorized the leasing of its property for this project. The board has taken no action to rescind this authorization, and so the council will vote on the board-approved resolution in accordance with the statutory process.
The approval vote was also one of the rare times in which the concerns from the council member in the district were overlooked.
There has not been community outreach to the people in the neighborhoods for over 3 years, and I just feel like that we've compromised. We've tried to get another location for the property and still create housing at the Jacoby campus, and they're not listening.
The Adams administration said the location will still have supportive and affordable housing, but that they are looking at 2 locations by Broadway Junction to house the formerly incarcerated. Speaker Adams, amid the housing fight, had this to say about Mayor Adams.
Thankfully, the 2 of them will not be relevant to this project in 3 months. There's going to be a new mayoral administration. You guys take a look at the polls just like the rest of us do.
And earlier today, First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro said that the city's looking at 2 sites near Broadway Junction. They didn't give any details on what those sites, where those sites are located, or which one will be chosen, Errol.
It doesn't sound like the administration put any effort into trying to change the minds of some of the council members.
Well, yes, they did not put any effort into that because they believe that through the way that they're going about this, they have the law on their side and that this will go the way they want it to go.
Well, I mean, if the council overrides or basically has approved it, he now has to veto it and they could override it? Is that the process?
No, actually, this is a special process. Land use is really a specific authority under the city council. So once they approve it, it basically goes into a process. There's no veto for the mayor to do. That's why he was trying to go this back channel of withdrawing the application. But the city council says at this point in time, that withdrawal can no longer happen and we're going forward. What they approved today was allowing health and hospitals to lease this property for 99 years and to create into supportive or affordable housing. Not necessarily that it has to be for formerly incarcerated individuals, but that was the goal. We'll see, because as you know, Errol, if one person thinks they have the law on their side and the other person thinks they have the law on their side, it might take a judge to interpret the law and decide who should win.
Sounds like this is going to court. Thanks very much, Kelly. We have some breaking news to report. Sources are telling the Associated Press that former FBI Director James Comey has been charged with making a false statement and with obstruction. This comes days after President Trump reportedly pushed Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute Comey and other political enemies of the president. Comey was a longtime adversary of Donald Trump, but had a falling out over policy disagreements. Trump also has reportedly pushed for charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James in an investigation into mortgage fraud. We're going to take a short break now, and we've got a packed show for you. Coming up, 2 casino proposals, one in Queens and one in Yonkers, are moving forward after committee votes earlier today. We'll bring you those details. Also tonight, I'll be joined by Congressman Pat Ryan to talk about his new political action committee called Patriot PAC. And later, a top leader from Emblem Health will explain why the nonprofit insurer is making a $2 million pledge to tackle food insecurity in our city. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
It's only a game. It's only a little rivalry. It's only a ritual. When I come home late, and a few generations. You're always there. And only Spectrum TV includes all your favorite streaming apps with live TV at no extra cost. It's only a game. It's only everything.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. You're done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. After multiple losses in Manhattan, 2 casino projects made it through community committee processes today. One in Queens and one in Yonkers. That will allow those proposals to move on to the next phase of getting a full-fledged casino license. Our Courtney Gross joins me now with more on the casino competition. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Errol. Now, Resorts World in Queens and MGM's Empire City have long been considered favorites in this casino competition, and the votes by these community advisory committees today solidified that front-runner status.
The application has been approved. Now.
Queens Casino Resorts World, which already operates slot machines, became the first casino proposal in the 5 boroughs to get approved by a community committee of local elected officials, on its way to a possible jackpot.
There's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again.
Adjacent to Aqueduct Racetrack, Resorts World is one of the 5 remaining casino projects still vying for up to 3 state gaming licenses, which are set to be issued by the end of the year. All of the projects proposed in Manhattan were rejected by similar community committees.
The benefits you deny this community and this city and state.
These community committees need to approve the projects before the proposals can be considered by a state board, which will make the final decision.
We've been a great neighbor, but that neighborhood has been great for us as well, and we're so happy that we could be there for many years to come.
Resorts World is pitching a massive expansion of its Queens footprint to include table games like blackjack, a 7,000-seat arena, thousands of hotel rooms, and more. It has long been considered a favorite for the license because local elected officials support the project.
Billions of dollars being pumped back into the economy of Queens. It's a win for the residents here.
Earlier on Thursday, MGM Empire City in Yonkers also received approval to move on to the next stage of the licensing process.
Hopefully MGM does get the full table gaming license.
The plan to expand the casino there received unanimous support, as expected. It, too, is facing good odds to get a license. The three remaining applicants, Bally's in the Bronx, the Coney in Brooklyn, and Metropolitan Park near Citi Field, are set to be voted on next week by their community committees.
And the two proposals that were approved by these committees today will head to the next phase of the process, and that is the Gaming Facility Location Board, which is a state-appointed board, and they will have the final say on who gets these casino licenses. And that decision, Errol, is expected by December 1st, and then the licenses, which cost $500 million, by the way, will be issued by the end of the year.
So it's a mistake to think that two of the three have already been selected, because in theory, all of them could make it to the next level, right?
Absolutely. Well, the 5 remaining ones could make it to the next level. That being said, the Coney, which is the proposal in Coney Island in Brooklyn, is all but assured as of this point to be rejected by this community advisory committee. 4 of the members have already come out saying that they're absolutely going to vote no. They would have to change their mind. That vote is scheduled for Monday, so no guarantee, obviously. Things could miraculously for the Coney turn around, but I see it as highly unlikely.
Got it. And so the winners today, again, not much of a surprise because they were already doing things. Are their footprints expanding, or is it going to be pretty much the same that we've seen at Resorts World and up in Yonkers?
Oh, they're expanding. I think the square footage of Resorts World that I have is 5.6 million square feet. So if anyone that's been out there knows that, you know, they have a small hotel, 400 rooms or so, their gaming floor is quite large considering the amount of space that they have in that part of southeastern Queens, but it's going to get a lot bigger. In fact, there's going to be, I think, upwards of 2,000 hotel rooms. The gaming floor is going to have 800 table games, 6,000 slot machines. For gamblers out there, they know that that is huge. In fact, Resorts World is saying that they are going to be, if they get the license, the largest casino in the United States of America.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Thanks very much, Courtney. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, TikTok is here to stay. President Trump signed an executive order today that clears the way for the sale of part of the app's parent company to U.S. firms. We'll bring you a report from Washington, D.C. in 2 minutes. Stay with us. This election year is all about New York City. There are 51 council seats up for grabs, races for our next city comptroller and the next public advocate.
Plus, an unprecedented race for mayor. That puts the power in your hands to decide who will run our city.
Our team of political experts will be covering every angle of this election to keep you informed on how it could affect you, so you can feel confident with your decision at the polls.
Stay with Spectrum News New York 1 for Decision 2025, exclusively on Spectrum.
Spectrum TV, isn't that only live TV?
No, it's only all my favorite streaming apps with live TV.
Okay.
It's only all included at no extra cost, and that's the magic of math. Will this be on the test? Sure. Why not?
It's only one simple payment for all our TV. We gotta simplify and win. Winning is equally important.
If not, more so.
Yeah! Only Spectrum TV, fixed TV.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time. And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan. Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York 1 to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood. Because our city never stops moving.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm
Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first,
Stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. President Donald Trump signed an executive order clearing the way for a deal to keep TikTok operating in the United States under new American ownership. Spectrum News national political reporter Taylor Popolars joins me now from the White House with the details. Good evening, Taylor.
Hey there, Errol. Good to be with you. This is a big story that impacts a ton of Americans, and it really marks a huge 180 for President Trump, who in his first term tried to get TikTok banned, now is a big fan himself. Details are still coming out, but here's what we know. Good news for the more than 170 million Americans who use TikTok. The executive order President Donald Trump signed Thursday advances an agreement for the Chinese company that owns TikTok to sell its U.S. operations.
This is going to be American operated all the way.
If finalized, the deal would end the threat of the wildly popular video sharing app shutting down in the U.S. A senior White House official tells Spectrum News that under the planned deal, a U.S.-based joint venture will acquire and oversee TikTok's U.S. assets. It will control the app's powerful algorithm, which determines what users see, and oversee TikTok's security terms in the U.S. The president told Fox News last weekend that top tech and media moguls will sit on the 7-member board, taking ownership of the app in the U.S., including the heads of Oracle, Dell Technologies, and the conservative media empire News Corp.
They're very well-known people, and Larry Ellison's one of them. He's involved. He's a great guy. Michael Dell is involved. I hate to tell you this, but a man named Lachlan is involved. Do you know who Lachlan is? That's a very unusual name, Lachlan Murdoch.
Congress passed a bipartisan law last year banning TikTok in the U.S. unless the Chinese company ByteDance sold it. There's long been security concerns over China's government potentially gaining access to TikTok's data on U.S. users. President Trump has evolved from wanting the app banned in 2020 to campaigning on it 4 years later. A Pew Research Center analysis published Thursday says 1 in 5 Americans regularly get news on TikTok, a double-digit increase from 2020. Vice President J.D. Vance said this new venture will be valued around $14 billion.
This deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past.
Now, there were no Chinese government officials or representatives from ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, in the Oval Office for this announcement, but President Trump did say that when he spoke by phone with Chinese leader Xi Jinping last week, that the Chinese leader gave him the go-ahead for this deal to go through. So there will still have to be some regulatory approval, but it does seem full steam ahead, Errol.
So now, Taylor, it sounds like the American companies that are getting involved all happen to be media entrepreneurs who are close to and supportive of the president. Is that a coincidence?
I don't think it's an accident. We know that the president has hosted a lot of these top tech and media moguls here at the White House extensively throughout the start of his second term. He enjoys having relationships with them, and they enjoy having proximity to the president. And I think, you know, a lot of these tech leaders especially recognize how popular TikTok is. 170 million Americans using it. That's about half the population. And they want to have a stake in this, not only so this app can continue, but so that they can profit off of it. And as you heard in the piece, Vice President J.D. Vance says it's going to be valued at $14 billion, so this will likely help out these leaders as well.
There was a non-commercial concern right from the beginning about TikTok, which is the algorithm and whether or not, whether it was controlled directly or indirectly by the Chinese government, they could be sending messages or tweaking the algorithm in such a way that it might harm national security, that it might harm American culture. What about those concerns?
So it was interesting. We heard extensively from Vice President Vance on this topic because he and his office actually were key negotiators in this deal. And they said that while China, while ByteDance will still have a say in the overall algorithm for TikTok, Vance claims that this new joint venture that'll be American-led and American-funded will be able to alter the algorithm where they see fit and will basically allow for other security buffers, because the Vice President said that was a top concern for government officials, that China could, if they wanted to, access U.S. user data. What was interesting, though, is in the Oval Office, President Trump said he wasn't really that concerned about it. He fell in love with TikTok last year when he campaigned on it and was able to win over some younger voters thanks to it. So he was kind of waving off that concern and said it'll continue to be kind of the way it is.
Okay, thanks very much, Taylor. It is time for a break. When we come back, I'll be joined in studio by Congressman Pat Ryan, who has launched a new political action committee to raise millions of dollars to help elect candidates with public service backgrounds. Stay with us.
My time at New York One has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Bergman.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on the Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month, as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it's saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. A new political action committee called the Patriot PAC is seeking to elect candidates with a background in public service. That includes candidates who have served in the military or as public school teachers and as first responders. It was launched today by Hudson Valley Congressman Pat Ryan. The PAC's goal is to raise more than $2 million for 50 New York-based candidates all around the state in this election cycle. Next year, the PAC hopes to endorse 250 candidates all around the country. Joining me now to talk more about it is Congressman Pat Ryan himself. He's a Democrat who represents New York's 18th congressional district. That includes all or part of Orange County, as well as parts of Dutchess and Ulster County in the Hudson Valley. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
What made you decide to do this? This is a big project.
Yeah, I mean, I love this country literally so much. I risked my life 27 months in combat in the Army, and then I come home and I see Trump and MAGA wrapping themselves in the American flag while they trample on the very freedoms and values that were foundational to the country. And I can't abide that. You got to do something. And I think a big part of it is we need, at every level, a bench of folks in the Democratic Party who are patriots, who have walked the walk on serving something bigger than themselves. So we're trying to do that with this PAC and build this really like a vanguard, I think, given the moment we're in.
What is it about those, I guess, the ones that you're most familiar with, the people who have served in the armed forces? What would make somebody who was successful there hesitant about stepping into public life?
Yeah, when I first ran for office was 2017 and 18. I had no clue what I was doing. I'd served in the military. I'd actually run 2 companies. I had no idea what politics or campaigns were about. And that's the case for a lot of folks that have done other public service, but not been political. So everything from how do you run a campaign, how do you know who to call or raise the funds you need for the campaign, all those components to really help guide people and create an access point for those kind of folks. If my mom's a retired public school teacher, folks like that who, how do we get more of them into the political sphere?
And in the end, is the world of politics all that different from, say, office politics or military politics, where I understand there is some backstabbing and deal making and other stuff that goes on?
Right now, anyway, it's a lot worse. I mean, I think that's a big part of the problem. When I was in the Army, I was deployed twice to Iraq. I literally couldn't tell you what the political affiliation of any of my soldiers were. We had a mission. It was most days existential life and death situation. We had to count on each other. And, you know, similar if you're a nurse in the ER, if you're a firefighter running into a burning building. And that ethos, it matters, and we really need more of that ethos in our politics. And there's even academic studies that actually show particularly veterans are more effective legislators because they're able to build consensus, work across the aisle, so we certainly need that too.
There was a time in my lifetime that you could not expect to go very far in politics if you didn't have some kind of public service, preferably military service. That has changed, though, in the last generation, hasn't it?
At its height, Congress, for example, had almost 80% military veterans, the World War II generation in particular. For a long time, we were under 20%, and we just got up over 20%. Wow. So not saying the whole body should certainly have done so, but I do think in a moment like this, we can all agree we need people that are able to serve a bigger cause, and that is just particular in the Congress, not how it is.
How are you deciding who to support? You got a questionnaire circulating out there?
Yeah, we just launched our website. We actually have had over, we sort of put it out a few weeks ago. We've had over 100 people already apply.
Oh, you're going to make a lot of friends now.
Running in elections coming up in just, a few weeks from New York City all the way up to Buffalo in the North Country. And it's awesome. I mean, we've got a great Air National Guard major out running to be a supervisor of a big town in Western New York. An undersheriff in Columbia County up my way, who'd be the first woman of color to be sheriff in New York State.
One of your first four is City Councilwoman Rita Joseph from right here in Brooklyn. What drew you to supporting her?
So I actually got to know Rita back when I was a county executive, and I had a similar effort to support service candidates back then. And I endorsed her in her first run, actually, and we've become really close friends, and she's kicking butt and taking names. And to have an educator, union leader, helping craft education policy, it's great.
Who's donating to this PAC?
Anybody that wants. we welcome everybody. I mean, individual donations only. No, not corporate funds. I don't accept any corporate donations.
Right. And you're making these decisions yourself?
Yeah, I've got a great team member who's been working with me for a while on this, and we're excited to do it. In a moment like this, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or powerless, but I really think it's a don't agonize, organize kind of moment. And I think putting good people forward it gives me hope. It gives something constructive to do.
Well, let me ask you, since you raised the issue about what is going on in Washington, are we going to have a government shutdown as far as you can tell?
I hope not. I mean, I think the way I really think about the moment is the overreach by the Trump administration and the failure to meet what people really want, which is lowering healthcare costs, lowering food costs, lowering housing costs. That combination, folks that I talk to in my district, which is a swing district, by the way, overwhelmingly want us to stop that overreach and that harm. I mean, it's really harm, and sort of pump the brakes. So I really think that's how I think about this moment. That's why I've now twice voted against these Republican budgets. They've made no attempt to actually work with us collaboratively, which is what our founders and framers intended. And they're trying to jam this through. And it's just not how democracy is supposed to work.
Okay, let's talk about the race for mayor. You recently announced your endorsement of Zohran Mamdani. What led you to that decision?
I thought it's a pretty easy choice. I was pretty candid in how I talked about it when I announced it. I think Zohran is about the people. He's about addressing the #1 issue that folks are dealing with here and in my district, which is affordability. And Andrew Cuomo, who unfortunately I have some firsthand experience in this, I don't think is a person of integrity and should not be in a position of public trust.
Yeah, you said in your announcement, quote, Andrew Cuomo is a selfish POS who only fights for himself and other corrupt elites. That's pretty harsh.
I don't say things like that lightly or very often. People that know me will tell you that. But I can tell you I was a county executive during the pandemic, and without going into the nitty-gritty, there were lives lost of seniors in nursing homes in my community by a failure to operate with integrity and character, and that's just not something we can tolerate.
Hakeem Jeffries, your Democratic conference leader, was asked again, I guess he gets asked a couple of times a day, morning and night, about whether he's going to support, or who he's going to support for mayor. Let's take a look at what he had to say this morning.
I'm curious if you have a time frame for weighing in on the New York City mayor's race. We're a month out from the start of early voting.
Soon.
What does that mean, though? You've been saying soon for several months.
So I have not been saying soon for several months.
Before or after the shutdown fight?
Sooner rather than later.
Will that complicate it if there's a shutdown? How you weigh in on New York?
No.
Decode this for us. What's going on here?
Hakeem Jeffries is a phenomenal leader. He's focused where he needs to be, which is, I mean, it's an existential battle right now, particularly on healthcare, where if Republicans get their way, the $1 trillion they cut from Medicaid, that's going to, in my district, for example, mean over 100,000 kids without care. That's going to mean seniors in assisted living not having health care. That covers 40% of births across the country. That's at risk, plus an attempt to jack up costs on the Affordable Care Act that we're trying to fight back on. So, I mean, he's rightly, I think, focused there. That's a national fight. He's the leader of our party, and he's doing a great job. And well, I'm sure he'll, as he said, he'll let us know when he's ready.
Well, now, this question of who to support for mayor has been on the table since June, when we settled our primary. And let me try out something on you. You tell me if I'm on the right track. It seems to me that he's got national politics that he's concerned about, not just the shutdown fight, but the effort to try and win back the House next year. And that who he endorses and what he stands for, and frankly, what the party wants to align itself with, will matter. And it will play out very differently, outside of New York. And he's sort of still trying to manage that process.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll let him. I'm very careful to not speak for anybody other than myself. I'll let him speak for that. I mean, I can say I'm in one of those battleground districts outside of the city, up in the Hudson Valley.
And you don't think this is going to hurt you in a swing district?
No, I think voters look at what their representatives doing, how their representatives delivering for them, and that's really, I give credit to the voters. They see that and they understand that. So. Everybody will make the decision they think is right.
It's very interesting. You're in a swing district that had been represented by a Republican. You've got West Point in your district. Nobody's going to come up to you and say, what are you doing with this socialist? Why are you supporting this guy? Nobody's going to say that to you?
I mean, I think we got to frankly move away from these labels from 50 years ago, frankly, with great respect. I mean, the whole people try to say, some people say I'm a moderate, then I get attacked for being a, crazy lefty. The reality is most people don't think that way. It's like, are you doing the thing I need? Are you bringing down healthcare costs? Are you bringing down housing costs? Are you bringing down food costs? Are you working with whoever you can to do that? That's what voters want. I think that's what Zohran's campaign has been about, and that's why it's connected and created a lot of energy. And I think it's particularly a moment of status quo versus change. And to have someone in former governor with a lot of issues, that's a backwards-looking decision versus a forward-looking, hopeful, optimistic, love of the city direction. And I'm not surprised people made that choice in the primary.
Okay, hope and optimism on the agenda. Well, thanks so much for coming by. Best of luck with your new PAC. Keep us up to date on how that all goes. Thanks for coming by. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head up to Foley Square, where elected officials and some advocates were rallying today, taking a stand against federal immigration authorities. We'll explain why in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer.
I'm so honored to be a meteorologist here at New York One because as a Brooklyn kid, this is the station that I grew up watching. Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our weather on the ones. Watch the New York One weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything. Movies, series, sports, reality, news.
Here's a look at today's top stories.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
And even more of your favorites with live TV. Stream across your devices and enjoy anywhere.
See you later.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
My father was a New York City firefighter. My mission, like his, is to serve New Yorkers in a city that doesn't stop when the sun goes down. Being with New York One since the beginning, I'm now honored to join you even earlier each weeknight. Starting at 8 with New York Tonight, we'll explore the latest news developments, followed by New York One at 10 to wrap up your day. So join me each weeknight starting at 8 right here on New York One.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where we are following some breaking news. Sources tell the Associated Press that former FBI Director James Comey has been charged with making a false statement and with obstruction. It comes days after President Trump reportedly pushed Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute Comey and other political enemies of the president. Comey was a longtime adversary of President Trump, but had a falling out over policy disagreements. Trump has also reportedly pushed for charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James in an investigation into mortgage fraud. We head now to Lower Manhattan, where protesters are rallying tonight against the Trump administration's immigration policies and the crackdown on migrants by federal ICE agents. Our Rebecca Greenberg is on the scene in Foley Square and joins us now with the latest. Good evening, Rebecca.
Well, hi there, Errol. A very active scene here in Lower Manhattan. I'm going to show you what this very large crowd of protesters looks like right now. They are marching down Federal Plaza, hundreds upon hundreds of advocates, elected officials, and people just simply wanting a better treatment of immigrants who are here in New York City. Protests erupted earlier this evening, and now they continue to march through the streets of Lower Manhattan to condemn local, state, and federal officials for their so-called complicity with ICE. Hundreds of New Yorkers, alongside labor unions and elected officials, are calling for an immediate end to ICE's, quote, violent and unlawful detainment of immigrant New Yorkers, some of whom were showing up to routine immigration court hearings. As you can see, Errol, massive crowds here carrying signs demanding that ICE get out of our city. Now, earlier today, City Comptroller Brad Lander posted a video taken by a journalist from inside ICE headquarters to his X account. He says that he was back at 26 Federal Plaza today, where an ICE agent violently threw a woman to the ground in front of her kids. She had to be taken to the hospital. He echoed that sentiment during a speech earlier this evening. Elected officials say the woman in this video is the wife of a detained immigrant. Advocates say they are outraged and are calling for immediate action.
ICE is our Gestapo. A concentration camp, as defined by the Holocaust Museum, is a place of detention without due process. And that is what they're doing.
Clear that we cannot trust these agencies to follow the law. We need a private right of action to allow people to sue when their rights are violated.
Just last week, Errol, 11 elected officials engaged in an act of civil disobedience on the 10th floor of 26 Federal Plaza, where ICE is believed to be detaining thousands of immigrants in what many say are deplorable conditions. Several dozen more were arrested for blocking ICE vans from leaving the building, fearful that they were transporting immigrants to detention centers. And as you can tell from behind me, Errol, this protest, this rally is far from over. There are hundreds upon hundreds of people still marching down Federal Plaza next to the ICE building here, and they plan on staying here for at least the near future. At this hour, many people here are demanding that our state and our city take action by adopting pro-immigrant legislation called the New York for All Act and the NYC Trust Act. Errol?
So now, Rebecca, it looks like there's NYPD out there to keep the protesters safe and keep traffic flowing. Is there any sign of police or law enforcement presence at 26 Federal Plaza?
Yes, Errol, there are barricades surrounding 26 Federal Plaza, and there are also officers at every single entry point. All the streets, any place that a car, a bike, a human being could possibly go down has been blocked off, and there are officers on either end of those streets surrounding the building. Of course, they want to ensure that no one gets too close to the building at this hour. But as you mentioned, Errol, yes, dozens upon dozens of police officers are making sure that everyone stays in line.
Okay. Thanks very much, Rebecca. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, Emblem Health is investing millions to fight food insecurity across the city amid the Trump administration's cuts to federal food assistance. We're going to talk it over with Karen Ignani, the executive chair at Emblem Health. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Here's the deal. People need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 on Spectrum News New York 1. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Florist Fire Design House. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. Spectrum helps me stay online. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. Without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
Get up to 4 months free when you bundle award-winning internet. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's developing news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following this morning.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Some morning sunshine possible, clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One, weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum customers.
We're going to need partnerships from our community organizations, from our private companies to fill in the gaps. There will be gaps. And we will be fighting to close those gaps. I will be fighting to close those gaps in Washington. But we have to plan for actually addressing the needs on the ground until that is done.
Welcome back. Back to Inside City Hall. That was Congressman Dan Goldman talking about the gaps in funding following President Trump's massive cuts to food assistance and health care. The congressman joined Emblem Health earlier today in Manhattan to announce that the nonprofit insurer is pledging $2 million to tackle hunger all around the city. Joining me now to talk more about this investment is Karen Ignani. She is the executive chair at Emblem Health. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you, too.
Some of my viewers may remember Emblem Health was formed by the merger of GHI and HIP.
Indeed.
That was a generation ago. It's a major insurer, though. How many people are you covering here?
3 million.
3 million. Yeah, mostly here in the city.
Yes, that's right.
What is an insurance company now doing in the food distribution business?
It's a great question. So our company is different, and I'll tell you how, and that'll answer your question. One, we provide coverage, an entree into the system, which is so important for working families and everyone in our city to make sure they can have access to health care. Two, we have an important physician group attached to our plan, Advantage Care Physician, primary and specialty care, award-winning. And three, we have a network of what we call neighborhood care centers, 15 in some of the most underserved areas in the 5 boroughs. What we see, people and anyone in the neighborhoods can come in free of charge. We help answer questions, they can take a class, they can get help with meditation, yoga, you name it. What we see, Errol, is the people who are coming in for social services, the #1 issue on their mind is food. Food insecurity. So our goal as a health plan is to provide health security. But you can't do that unless you're attending to what we call in the policy world insecurities, barriers to care, social determinants. So our job is to make sure not only are we tuned into that, but we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. So that's what we're doing.
Translating that into, first of all, I've seen some of your centers. A lot of my viewers may have seen them too. In Brooklyn, the big one I know is at Atlantic in Pennsylvania.
That's right, 101.
Big old building. It sounds like if I could translate it into, sort of a common language, it sounds like on any given day, one of your members might need a meal more than they need to see a doctor.
That's right, and that's our job, to help with that. Help with transportation, help with a meal, help with housing. But in the area of meals, we help make sure that people who are eligible for federal support, for SNAP, for example, we're helping facilitate that. But frankly, and that's what the congressman was talking about today, with the recent federal cuts, you have almost a perfect storm. You have federal cuts, reductions in funding for things like food security, but also prices are going up. And at the kitchen table, that hurts families.
Is the administration indirectly trying to pass this cost on to your policyholders?
I think they're trying. I think it's not just the administration, the members of Congress that voted for the recent legislation. They are reducing subsidies, they're reducing funding so that it gets passed on, the burden gets passed on to states and to cities like New York City. And there are few resources to pick the ball up, so to speak.
Right. When Americans complain about us having a broken healthcare system or an inadequate one, that companies, there are always complaints about companies that delay or deny treatment too often. What do you say to that?
I'm proud of what we do, and proud of our community mission, and proud that we are different as a not-for-profit health plan that is doing something very specific for the community. But at the same time, that you have to make sure your processes work for people, not against people. You have to be willing to translate those processes, answer questions. No endeavor, no business, no organization gets things right 100% of the time. What we want to do is to make sure our members know what we stand for, know what we provide, and feel good about what we're doing to support them.
You were a very big shot lobbyist in Washington, and I don't want to get into any of that, but
you never say the word big when you refer to a woman. Let me just caution you.
I said big shot. But you know the difference, because you're running a nonprofit health insurer, between you and those giants that are answering to shareholders and sort of chasing profits with every quarter. What's the difference that we could feel on the ground?
I think that our difference is that we have these 3 components that I described. And the community mission is so pronounced. Our CEO wanted to make this investment because he wanted to show the community we're seeing a problem. We're not just tracking a problem. We're not just collecting data. We're going to act. And we're collaborating with the 3 most important food organizations in the city, and we're very proud to do so. They've done extraordinary work.
You know, I'm looking at all the fresh produce behind you and our little graphic there, and I'm wondering, is this conversation, could it go further and maybe have you sort of, you know, prescribe fresh fruits and vegetables, better ways of living, healthier ways of living, as opposed to always sending people to get a pill from the farm?
You know, this is a great question. We actually do a lot of nutrition classes in our neighborhood care organizations, and people from the community love to come in, hear about nutrition. We have a wonderful module on how to shop healthy in a bodega. And that's our community, and we need to serve that community and be responsible to them.
How did Congressman Dan Goldman get involved?
We asked him to come. He's been such a leader in Washington. I think he will be a very strong leader for years to come. And he's really spoken out about injustice. He's spoken out about equity. He's spoken out about the need for government in its role to really tune in to what the people, the constituents, need. So we've always admired that.
When we talk about these statistics, about 281,000 New Yorkers who are predicted to lose their SNAP benefits in the near future, what will that mean for you?
It is very, very sobering for us because we see these people coming through our doors every day. Some of them we do serve in our health plan. Some of them we don't. They're in the community, but we try to help them. And it brings tears to your eyes because there's only so much you can do with the resources available. So it's really important that as government is reducing resources, that the private sector step up and try to do something. We can't do everything. We want to be very transparent about that, but we want to try to make a difference. And with our community partners, because no one can act singularly. Having partners is so important.
Okay, I understand Emblem Health is going to be hosting food distribution events around the city.
Yep.
Where can our viewers find out more about that?
On our website, emblemhealth.com.
Okay, thanks very much for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Great talking with you. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Exclusively on Spectrum.
My name is Gail, and we are in my showroom for Florist Fire Design House. We are a full production wedding and event company that focuses on florals. Getting Spectrum set up for my business was extremely smooth. They were here the same day, had it set up within an hour, and I was online and ready to go and run my business. You know, I have to be able to be online at 5 a.m. when the market's open. And if I'm contacting a merchant via email or placing an order online, without Spectrum, it wouldn't be possible.
One more row.
Spectrum is reliable, they're committed, they're fast, and they really take care of me as a business owner. Last year, when the really bad hurricane came through, our internet stayed the entire time. One of the businesses down the street, she was like, wait a minute, how are you still online? And I was like, Spectrum, baby. You gotta get Spectrum.
Get award-winning internet for your business. Up to 4 months free when bundled. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more.
This election year is all about New York City. There are 51 council seats up for grabs, races for our next city comptroller and the next public advocate.
Plus, an unprecedented race for mayor. That puts the power in your hands to decide who will run our city.
Our team of political experts